Okay, so for the end of the August wipe, I just wanted to show an example of what my electrical is like so that you can see what's kind of going on behind the scenes. So to start out with, I have two, um, what are they called? Wind turbines and a solar panel that are all hooked up to root combiners. You can see that's the solar panel and that wind turbine, and then they go off from here. I'll come back for the lights. This is like a power line across here into that root combiner, and then this goes into the electrical room. So that feeds in about anywhere from like 150 to 300 power, and that's kind of the main power source. So I'll head into the electrical room. Say goodnight. The electrical room is in the base here, in the bunker in the back here. So this is all the electrical stuff that's in here. So this battery right here is connected to those. It works with those two wind turbines. This right here is connected to five solar panels that are on the roof. So that's just solar power that's coming in through these. So I'm going to explain what everything does here, and hopefully it'll all make sense. Starting off with all of the solar panels on the roof, I'll show them at the end, but they're all connected to root combiners, and they all come into the power down here, this branch. Um, that branch branches out enough power for the entire circuit that powers the door controllers and the lights and the sirens that go off when you pull the switch at the start of a round. So that basically controls um, all the power that controls the arena game switch to start the round. Next, right there is a branch to turn off the battery. So what that means is it's going to take out as much power as it needs during the day and feed it into this OR switch. Um, if there and then once it gets enough power to do that, it'll shut off this battery, and this battery will turn off, and then that way it'll charge during the day. Um, so this feeds in enough power for just the circuit up top, and then it gets from either the battery or the solar panels, and so that power is just the switch that opens the doors and that turns on the sirens and all the lights and everything when you turn on the switch. So that's just that with solar power in this big battery here. The second thing is all the lights in the base, so that includes inside this bunker. There's quite a few lights, and there's also the motion detectors that power all the lights out here. So you can see right here, lights are off. Motion detectors turn on all the lights out here. And then the last thing is the always on lights that are in the arena. So those are always on, including the ones that are at the front there, and those flashing lights. I think those are only on at night, actually, and I'll explain how that works. But those flashing lights kind of show, in case I'm flying in on a helicopter, where the wind turbines are, so I don't fly into them. But most of these lights are on all night, and then they turn off during the day. These ones are motion detectors, but still only turn on during the day, not at nighttime. And I'll show the solar panels while I'm up there as well. This is all the main power lines coming into the basement here, so it's kind of crazy. Um, but you can see here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 solar panels all connected up through root combiners that feed power into the, oh sorry, 6. All connected through root combiners that feed power into the basement. Gotta say goodnight. So yeah, all of that power gets fed down into here. And so what's going on here? So we have a whole bunch of radio frequency broadcasters. We have this radio frequency receiver. This OR switch, 2 blockers, and then a whole bunch of electrical branches. These 4 branches in the corner power the 4 doors, so that was with that first circuit right there. So that circuit right there goes out to 4 doors, and then the siren lights and everything up there. So that's what those 4 are, and that's why they're off all the time. They'll only turn on when you pull the switch up top. Um, Over here, what's going on is it's feeding in power I should just get the wire tool here. So it's feeding in power from the wind turbines. And it comes in, I think from there. Yeah, that's the root combiner. So that's how much power it's getting right now, only 131. But yeah, I can get up to like 250. Yeah, and see, it's kind of variable over time. This will branch out all the power that's needed to power everything in the base. So it's 68 power. I calculated that out. So that will power everything in the base. That gets fed into this OR switch. Second branch right there will turn off the battery as long as there's enough power. Otherwise, it'll use this battery. I think this one's in use right now. Yeah, because it's nighttime, because it's solar powered. This one rarely gets used because there's normally enough power coming in from both the windmills and the solar panel to power this whole circuit because it's 68. So what happens is after it branches it out, some goes to the OR switch, some goes to the electrical branch, then it comes in here. So this blocker right here will shut off the battery. Then it comes out here and it starts going into these branches, which are all, and over here. So these all go out to motion detectors. So it only feeds 2 power out, 1 to the motion detector and 1 back into these radio frequency broadcasters. So what that does is if any of those motion detectors gets a hit with someone passing through, it'll give 1 power to the radio frequency broadcaster and it'll broadcast at that frequency. Then all of the lights that are hooked up inside the base that are motion detector powered get branched out and then pass through this radio receiver. So then that way, if any of the motion detectors get tripped, it'll send power throughout to all of those lights. So that's how that works. All of this circuit though is passed through this blocker. So this receives a blocking signal that's routed out from the solar panels. It's one of these ones over here. So this one of the solar panels will push this through. So this will be like my nighttime switch basically. And then after this, it feeds out all the power for these lights that are also controlled by the radio frequency and then gets pushed through to the ceiling lights and the arena lights. And so that's how I keep them all off at night, basically, is through this blocker. Or sorry, all off during the day. They get fed through this blocker, and then as long as there's a signal coming in from a solar panel, it'll turn these lights off all throughout the base, all of the electricity. And then as soon as you start getting power, and I think it's going to start happening soon because it looks like it's getting light out, this thing will receive power coming into it, and then it'll shut off all of the lights, including the motion detector lights. The motion detectors, though, they are in the circuit before this blocker. So these are all the motion detectors before it hits the blocker. So they are always detecting whether there's motion, even though it's not really doing anything technically. But what that means is that because it's broadcasting a frequency, you can have a pager on you that receives the same frequency, and then anytime someone's moving in the base, any time of day, day or night, you'll get a buzz in your pocket that says that the motion detector's tripped. So again, those lights don't turn on at during the day, but they still have motion detectors that are going. There's 4 different ones in the base. So this is my electrical room right there. I'm gonna wait and see what it's like when everything kind of turns off. There's 3 lights in here, and then another one up here to help get out. So these motion detectors all turn on. I'll show where the motion detectors are. There's one here. There's one here. So they sometimes turn off in this stairway. Yeah. So there's a little blind spot, like right about here. But there's one here and one here. I could put a 5th one in, but yeah, I think it's fine. And then the last thing is like having this. So all the lights are on. You can see until they get sun. Oh, I guess the sun's not coming out, so it'll be hard to tell. But as soon as these solar panels get sun, it'll turn off all the lights. And then this is right here what opens all the doors and then sets off those sirens and siren lights. So that's my whole electrical circuit there. You got the root power coming in from there, separate root power coming in from the turbines, all feeding into electrical room, and then from the electrical room it gets fed out into the lights through blockers that keep the lights off it during the day. If you have any questions, I'll show you how thick these wires are here. There's a whole bunch of wires that are going into the electrical room. If you have any questions about how this stuff works, you can always ask. 'Cause I really like helping people with this stuff. It's like a puzzle to me. And I'm hoping to get even more complex with future circuits. We'll see. I'm curious as to why the lights haven't turned off, though. It could be because it's cloudy out. So maybe it's a little cloudy. So those are the simple lights right there that are all over the arena. And I don't know if you could hear that, but it's the buzzing of the motion detectors. There we go. Alright, so that's, now it just receives sun. All of the lights turned off, including those flashing lights, because I don't need them during the day. So once it receives sun, it just basically turns off all of these lights. Even if the motion detector is still on, you can hear it. All of the lights in the base turn off, including in here, everything like that. So yeah, that's how that works, basically. And yeah, the last thing would be to build a pager to see how that all kind of works, but this is what the circuit looks like, and if you have any questions, let me know.